So today's guest is Eric, the PI. He's got a very interesting story, and it has to get out in the public. It has to be considered and followed, because there are people out there that don't understand. Nobody knows how to treat other people the way they just don't treat people right. But Eric has gotten involved in researching what I think is a crime. And it's not a crime in the legal sense of the word necessarily, but it's criminal, in my opinion, at a lot of levels, and maybe in a criminal, in the real world of criminality. I don't know that. But Eric's going to talk to us a little bit about that, a lot about that. And I want Tim to jump in on this, because Tim's family was very much involved with the church that they went to, and I want his perspective on this, because I'm not really a church goer or a temple goer or anything, but I think it's important that we hear from these two guys. The other thing I want to talk about are the fucking airlines. Okay? American Airlines, as big as they are, they're fucking fools. They have the show rigged. They know what they could get away with. And that's exactly the same reason why they shouldn't lie to their consumers, to their customers. You buy tickets, you expect to fly. Not a problem, right? It's not rocket science. But because of an event, weather, or the pilot can't fly any more hours, or the bathroom is clogged on the plane, they just don't fucking tell you the truth. They don't even allow you the opportunity to make decisions until they force decisions upon you. So the airlines suck. They're getting worse. They're raising their prices. They're limiting their seat availability so that they can make better profits, but it's all at our expense. Okay? And I want everybody to call in and talk to their, but fuck the airlines. I mean, if I had wings, I'd fly myself. But this last event where my flight was canceled, I did meet a great lady, and maybe something good will come of it. That's the only thing I might be able to thank American Airlines for. But other than that, they could go fuck themselves. Okay, so Eric, I know a little bit about this, and I know that some sheriffs were involved in escorting some old knitting women out of a church because of a family member or a couple of people they knew were asking questions about the financial dealings of the church and the pastor, and maybe the executive committee, or what, committee of elders, whatever that's called.
Right. Maybe
there was some shenanigans, maybe not. But as a human being, I cannot fucking understand how you could kick anybody. I mean, especially old ladies in a knitting group, kick them out of a fucking church or a temple because you have a beef with them or a family member because they ask questions. That shouldn't even be allowed. I don't even think it is allowed. I mean, any religious tenant, Tim, jump in here. It's fucked up.
I'll tell you, I was sitting at home minding my own business. Okay. I don't go to this church, but I know a really nice family that does. And they know that I do a lot of advocacy in the community, and I do it for free. And I'm a licensed private investigator, so I have some resources. They began to tell me about, and after meeting with these ladies, I said, I've called y'all grannies a little bit. I don't want to be offensive, get my ass kicked by a bunch of old women. And they found it endearing. So long story short, this all started where a couple of women, there's like 10 of them, they go to a church. Some of them have been going there 67 years. Most of them have been going there 50. They've buried their husbands at the funeral at that church. Yep. They've been baptized.
The epicenter of their life.
They don't know nothing else but that church. Okay. Yeah. These women go into a room. It's called sowing seeds. They use a sewing machine and they make a bunch of crap. Not crap, but a bunch of stuff. And they make it for Child Protective Services, and they make it for the church, and they make it for children and maybe the less fortunate. And one of the ladies that's in this group I guess she has a son or maybe a grandson, went down to City Hall. He heard something and he asked a couple questions. And lo and behold, he found a guy that knew a lot about this topic. And the topic was the sale of the church. Well, that word got back to the pastor. Oddly enough, this pastor, that's the economic developer for the city, happens to be his workout partner. Now, let me tell you something. If you are going to be a person trying to sell a church, that's a good workout partner. I'm just saying. I started looking into this guy. Anyway, long story short, he made them all leave, threw them out on a Wednesday. These women were pissed in a godly sense, I guess.
Yeah.
A week goes by, a couple of them go back.
Can I just clarify, when he threw him out, was that intended to be permanently or just for the day?
He told them sowing seeds is over, it's closed. Now, these grannies have been sowing, doing this stuff a long time.
Years.
So a couple of these old grannies, they decided they're going to go back the next Wednesday. Now, I kind of like it. They go back, and a couple of gentlemen from the church said, nope, you got to leave. Well, boy, then it took a real crash. And that's kind of where I got involved because, the person telling me, hey, the pastor's doing all these things. I said, well, what do y'all know about the pastor? Not much. I said, well, give me a minute. And boy, I found out he had some big problems out in California. Oh, man. He made the paper a little bit. So I did a little homework on him and saw that he was plaintiff in a case and by other former church members. And I'll tell you, prior to us going on, we kind of had a side conversation about church, right? You take a look, church ain't what it used to be. I'm going to say that. And I don't care what anybody thinks about it.
Big fucking business. That's what it is.
It's bigger than big fucking business. It's a huge fucking business. It is. Look at Gateway. Look at yesterday's news. It's sickening. It really is. The days of people getting to go and, have a place to worship in their faith, it's almost gone. I mean, it really, really is. Long story short, so I'm a open records request king. And
love that.
I have shown so many people, they say, how do you get the body cam footage? Because let me tell you something. If you've seen any of the videos that I put up where it has this pastor, his arms are back, and there's a little decrepit granny in front of him, and then I throw Amazing Grace on behind it, it's over.
Right.
He ain't winning that deal. I don't care what that lady's done. He ain't winning. And it's had a tremendous amount of views on TikTok and even on my social media. But the point is, this guy is he's bullying people in the congregation, trying to separate it. And, I just told him, I said, look, I got a little free time on my hands.
Right.
Let's go. So that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah, the pastor looked to divide and conquer, create a lot of stuff, makes it easier for him to act in a corrupt fashion.
Sure.
Because there's a lot of distraction. I'm still trying to get a grip on how you actually escort people out of a church for no
violence.
No violence, no fear. They're not doing anything to create.
And I'll tell you, I'm a bully's bully. If you're the bully, man,
I'm coming after you.
Good.
I posted, so on open records request, people are saying, how do you get this? Well, let me show you. You can be a city's worst nightmare or an entity that you need to get information from. And I posted one of the 911 calls, and you can see how the pastor has tried to control the whole scenario. Sure. And you can tell he don't like women. He don't like women that have authority because he kind of gets into it a little bit with the dispatcher. And the dispatcher says, you're not on scene? He said, no, I was there earlier, but I had a meeting. They're asking for a description of clothing. Now, he lied. He said, I saw her earlier. Well, why didn't you call the police then? Right? I mean, that's what everybody says. Why didn't you call the police then? Well, he's a fucking idiot, number one. And number two, he's a liar. I mean, that's base.
Yeah, this
that's
has nothing to do with the ministry. This is all about things other than ministry at the expense of long-term, multi-decade.
100% agree. Yeah. When I put the audio up of him calling in and it gets all the dispatcher schools him a little bit. She says, if you could have someone on scene, give us a call back. No, ma'am, we can't do that. He's trying to control his narrative.
Right.
And maybe whoever is there at the church, maybe, they don't know two box from a rock. I don't know. But I do think it's odd, the narcissism in the pulpit on this particular case, the long history all the way out to California, many, many other issues trying to divide and separate people. And
hell of a guy.
Well, apparently. And so here's another thing. When I asked on an open records request from the city, from the economic developer, the workout partner, and I heard he's a great guy. I think this guy is actually a victim of the pastor because the pastor did the same thing in California. He buddies up to someone that has power.
Right.
And then he
plays them.
He plays them and facilitates. So, the poor economic developer, he thinks he's in a genuine friendship when, probably not. Anyway, I always tell everybody what I'm going to ask for. I show them. I ask for the open records request. Remember, he's a tax-paid employee. We're entitled to it as taxpayers.
Sure.
I want your calendar. I want his calendar for the month of June, July, and August. I had so many people say, why in the world do you need his calendar? Don't worry about it. And guess what? There's over 90 churches in North. You know where North Richland Hills is? Yeah. There's over 90 churches in North Richland Hills. Out of 90 plus churches, how many people do you think that economic developer would have met with it? He didn't meet with none of them, but guess what? Old Danny Smith, the pastor of First Baptist Church in Smithville. Now, I find that I'm a betting guy. I'm a betting guy. I like going to the casino. I'm a betting guy. I already knew it was going to be there.
That's why I asked for it.
That's why I asked for it.
There you go.
And it's gold. It's gold.
Yeah. Where there's smoke, there's fire, right?
Yes.
And I just think it's incredible to hear these stories of corruption. And again, using religion or your place of worship as not just the tool, but the victim.
Yeah.
And innocent old ladies. And to me, even if the old lady said, Pastor, based on what I think, you're a crook. I mean, I think she has the right to say that or do that and not get kicked out of her church. I mean, right? I mean, what's going on in this country, there's an awful lot of argument about what's free speech, but, that's not hate speech. That's not, it's just, hey, what's going on in the church?
And if you are a member, you have a right to voice what your opinion is.
Absolutely.
But if you don't like it, guess what?
Yeah.
You're not a member no more.
By the way, that is not, churches get, they have a special tax status because they're not corporate America.
Yep.
They're not businesses in the sense of if you don't like the guy who's, working at your counter in your business or whatever, you can fire him. They could quit. I mean, it's pretty simple. If you're in a private business or a publicly owned company, the bosses can fire you.
Sure. At will.
At will. But churches and temples and mosques and all these things, they're religious sanctuaries. People should be safe there. Even people that are not of that religion. Sanctuaries are sanctuaries. Where does this guy get off bullying, intimidating, and kicking old ladies out? I just still can't wrap my head around that.
Well, it completely defies what our whole religious institutions of all religions are based upon. It advances into that hatefulness of corporate America and against parishioners that have been there for decades, 50 years plus. Amazing.
Let me throw this question out. I'm curious of both of your answers. If churches were not 501c3, tax exempt, how many churches you think there'd be? Right now, I'm still like small city, North Richland Hills. They got 90 plus churches. If it was no longer tax exempt, how many would there be?
Well, listen, you're obviously a tax expert, right? Because, it's just probably the single best business to be in if you're corrupt. I mean, I can't tell you all these guys that are on TV flying around in beautiful jets and having yachts and mansions, and they're men of God. And we all know they're men of God.
Yeah.
But of course, the business is the shield, right? The
Sure.
church is the shield. So can you be a man of God and have a church? Yeah.
Sure.
But if
Of
you're
course.
giving back and you're taking care of your flock and your community, yeah. But if you're flying around on, your Boeing 757 out to, Bermuda to get on your 300-foot yacht, something is not right.
I've heard it this way from a person that he was a missionary for about a month, and he said, "No thanks." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Let me tell you something. You know why they don't do the good work right out here off of Inwood in downtown Dallas? Because it's measurable.
Right.
But they can do it on the other side of the globe. It's not measurable.
Yeah. You can't
Not
see it.
measurable." And you think about that for a minute. Oh, we put 3 water wells in. Maybe they did. Hopefully they did, especially if they raised money for it. But they're not going to do something right down here because it's measurable. And boy,
visible.
once it's measurable, it's well scrutinized. I mean, everybody's an expert until they have to do it.
So this is kind of funny and kind of sad, right? You go to church and they pass the collection plate, right?
Yeah.
And in the old days, right, Tim, you'd put in $1, $5, whatever, $10 a quarter, it doesn't matter. So Tim was telling me a story. He went to church and he went to put some money in the tithing box. And what did they tell you, Tim?
I want him out to put in cash.
Say that
was
again?
Cash was not allowable to go into the tithing tray.
They only took credit cards. They only took credit
What?
cards.
That's amazing.
Right.
I remember back in the old days, they would say, credit cards were bad.
Right.
Well, they got cash apps now.
Right.
Yeah.
They got everything.
Yeah.
They wouldn't take your cash.
Yeah. Nah.
So I go to First Mattress. Okay. I don't know if you know what that is. First Mattress is where I sleep.
Right.
I go out and do good work. I try to do it every day and try to be, when someone says, "Look, I'm a Christian," I say, "Oh shit, we got a problem." Because all you got to do is demonstrate it. You don't ever have to say it.
Right.
Just demonstrate it where other people can see it and
Right.
and it fulfills yourself.
Yeah.
And I go to the casino, I win money. I'm very lucky. The coin I gave you, I'm telling you, you're going to be lucky. I'll win money. And you know what? I had a pastor, by design, I asked this question. I said, "Look, I want to make a little donation to the project, but this dirty money, it came straight out of WinStar and I won a shit ton of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I know you don't like gambling. Y'all preach about it. I don't drink, so I'm safe there.
Yeah.
But I know y'all preach about it. I guess I'll find something to do. Oh, we can pray that money clean. It's
Pray
amazing.
that money clean.
You can pray that money clean.
Yeah.
That's
but-
amazing.
But even vices, we're talking about the fundamental golden rules here. When we see a minister acting out of probably self-interest, financially motivated, to lose the whole baseline of what
Yeah.
the ministry is about.
Yeah, you're right.
And we get into a world of talking politics now into the ministry, and
Oh, boy.
it really can give a disparaging feeling on some churches. Not all,
Yeah.
but some.
It's funny. You can go to one church and hear, it depends on what side of the aisle they're going to follow, right? You can go to one church and everything is bleak and it's going to be bad. They never tell,
Right.
nobody ever says we're in great times. We are in great times. It is what you make of it. And so many people have to have a person that they, in their mind, for whatever reason, put them in a power position. We are in great times. You see any war out here? No. Thank God it's not here. We have a great nation. It's just there's not a lot of great participants sometimes.
Well, yeah. I mean, corruption is rampant, and we are lucky to not see it every day right in front of us. But again, it's there every day in
It's
front
there.
of us. And
Sure.
I can tell you, in all the places I've been around the world, people want the same thing.
That's
They want
right.
food, housing, medicine, education. They want some degree of. I could go anywhere and meet somebody in Greece or Italy or France or Somalia, and all they want to do is look at you and get to know you, eat with you, have a drink with you. I mean, it's just not
They all want peace.
right. And they want
Yeah.
good stuff for their families
Sure.
and kids, and it's fucked up to me. Forgetting about wars over territory or wars over religion, And you just think to yourself, you know, what's going on? It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. And there are good people and bad people everywhere in every religion and every walk of life. And you know, that's kind of the chess game that we're all living in, right? How do you deal with that? How do you smoke it out? Do I have good instincts? You know, I'm a good person. I'm not a great person.
Yeah.
I can understand that about me.
Sure.
I have a big fucking mouth. When it comes to, you know, public record requests, I'm with you.
Yeah.
And when it comes to speaking your mind, I'm with you. Because I have nothing to hide. But, you know, I feel that, you know, that what we do here is, hey, let's hear about these problems. Let's hear about these issues and circumstances. We don't have to vote on them. We can't necessarily change them. But I think that just talking about it all means we're making progress. And Tim, I know you got to leave.
I do.
Yeah.
I'd just like to say this, that these little ladies that have been vested in that church, the majority of their entire lives, are entitled to have a forum to speak and to be trespassed out. From a legal perspective, really violates the fundamentals. And I really appreciate you, Eric, for staying on top of this and spending time with us. We need more people like you to add
absolutely.
that. I really appreciate it.
When I heard this story, Tim and I mean, I went fucking nuts. I'm like, how could this be going on here? This is, and this is the state. I mean, I've never been in a place where there are more churches, mosques, not that many temples, but so many churches, like 3 or 4 on one block.
Right.
Right. And they're slicing up the primary religion of Christianity into, I don't know, 20, 30 different religion subsets of Christianity or whatever. I don't know the numbers, but there's so many churches here. And I wonder every day about Robert Morris and this guy pleading guilty and this guy doing that and Joel Osteen. I'm sorry, I can't see you today because I'm going to jet off to Hawaii, you know, and have a nice weekend. And I just don't get it. And, you know, maybe they vote a certain way because those are the people that I'd have the IRS investigating.
Sure.
I mean, those, you know, when you talk about these TV ministers and stuff, where the fuck is the IRS? This is not what it's supposed to be about. This is not why they got this favorite tax status.
My friend calls it the Canadian shell game. And what he means by that is churches are always doing this right here, and that's the money. That's the money, you know?
Too many.
Yeah.
And they're so public that I can't understand why they don't get the attention of the authorities, because that to me is wrong. A little guy like you, God forbid you steal a little bit or, you know, fudge your tax return a little bit and you're getting audited.
It's not stealing, it's appropriating. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, you know, and I'm thinking, the fuck? I'm running a small business, so I took a little bigger deduction for my gas expenses or my car repairs, right? And these guys are flying around in fucking jets and living in mansions, and they're supposed to be religious 501c3. And you know what? Maybe they need a cap on what these guys can do. Maybe they need to see some evidence of this money that's being raised by the church is being used for purposes of good, whatever they are. I mean, however they define it, whether it be wells in our country or other countries, but at least, hey, no private jets. Come on, that's sickening. That makes us look foolish here in Washington, you know, like.
Yeah.
And maybe they don't get investigated because they vote a certain way.
I think you might be onto something, sir. I'm going to promote you to investigations today.
Hey, could I get a job with you? I mean, I'd partner up with you anytime.
Yeah,
Eric,
the pay is, remember, I work for free.
Yeah, well, I've been working my whole life for
Okay.
free, right? But I think that this is disgraceful. And, you know, there's 40 families that control everything. Again, I'm a capitalist. I get how it works.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody should be punished for being extremely successful. But corruption is different. I mean, I don't see how even our president can be making such strides in his wealth as president. I just don't understand that. Oh, I do understand it, but I don't appreciate it as an American or as a person, as a voter, when we got so many fucking problems in this country and in this world, and they're all worried about getting their free stamps for life down in Washington.
Right.
You know, and it's kind of distasteful, right? I want to be a good American, and I think speaking out makes you a good American. And I'm not talking about hate speech. I'm just talking about
You're
say
talking
your
about,
piece.
yeah, you're saying your piece, your opinion. So I'll tell you something. Me and my wife just went to Germany. We had a wonderful trip. Been there a couple of times. She's German. I had a good experience this time. 15,000 round trip for both of us, first class. Wonderful.
Great.
Before I left, you hit on something. I had a thing. Now, I pay a lot of taxes. I had a thing from the IRS, and I hate that mail because it looks real specific.
Right.
I owe $13.51. And I told my wife, I said, I've got to write this check now and get it. I don't want to be thinking about when I get, because I had to send it by October the 7th. They had to have it. And it gets underneath my ass so much, thinking they took the time out after you paid all this much, quite measurable. They need to make sure they get that 1351. And boy, it burned me up.
Yeah. Well, look, government from local all the way up and back down again. It's, I don't want to say a bureaucratic nightmare, because you need people that are professional, that do these things for the system to work and to run, right? Like the county courthouse, you need secretaries and you need people to work there. It's not that they're dumb or lazy or good or bad. They need to, those jobs need to be done. But at the top of the food chain, they're just a bunch of scuzzbuckets that think about themselves instead of, does this make sense? Now, I'm not for government shutdown. I'm not for like burning all the departments of government down. But there is a point to, what is this department really doing? And are we getting a return on it? Is it helping enough people? Or are we doing it right? Or maybe we need to change the rules and procedures and see how it works. And in 3 years, if we see no improvement, we'll now look at it and change it. They do it all the time with tax rules, right?
Absolutely.
Like, okay, we want to fuck people on their taxes, but we want to help the rich people with all their money. So we're going to change this rule. We're going to change that rule. And they want to keep that tax code a mess. I mean,
They needed a mess so nobody can figure it out,
Right.
and they can still get away with whatever they're getting away with.
exactly. But that always inures to the people that have the money and the power.
Yeah.
And, because Joe Smith can't call up the governor, but Elon Musk could call and hang out with the president and say, look, I need another 50 billion of government
Contracts.
support. Yeah, government contracts, but I mean,
I'll tell you what's funny. I look at everything as a business. And a city, it's a business. A church, it's a business. Because if you don't have enough coming in the door, guess what? You're not there no more,
you're
right?
out of business.
Yeah, you're out of business, basically.
Right.
Or you're out of interest. Oh, nobody had any interest in it this week. Anytime a city does something, you can find fat. And the bigger a company gets, the more fat there's going to be. I had a guy the other day say, man, you're not going to believe this. I said, don't say that, because I'm probably going to believe it. He said he went to this one particular company. He thinks that they're the smartest people on the planet, okay? He said, I went in there and talked to their head guy. They're a bunch of fucking idiots. I said, look at every one of these buildings. They're all, when you're a little kid, you think grown-ups are smart. You grow up and look around and realize about 89% of them are a bunch of fucking idiots. You wonder how they even learn to procreate.
Yeah, well,
It's crazy.
they get lucky.
I
and we
guess.
get unlucky.
I guess.
But, I see it locally too. I live in Allen, and I got my young son who plays golf. So he used to go to Waters Creek, which is used to be Plano or part Plano, and I'm not quite sure, but Allen runs it. And they do such a shit-ass job of running it. I mean, it's horrible. they tell you, they have this part 3, you're supposed to pay $2 or $8, whatever. They don't collect any money. Nobody ever, it's just run so,
No accountability.
right. It's piss poor, no accountability, and nobody wants it.
Yeah.
Nobody wants there to be accountability. And what's interesting to me? The same management team has been there for a long, long time. And is that
Too
kind of like,
comfortable and no passion anymore.
well, I think people that are in government, if you're not like really just a secretary or bureaucrat, when you're the head of a major department or you're the head of a income producing piece of that government, wouldn't it make sense to say, you know what, you've been around here long time, Bill. You've been here 10 years. You know what? We're looking at the numbers and it just doesn't kind of make sense. So look, we're going to let you go. We're going to get a new manager, whatever. And again, I don't know I'm not talking about any specific facts.
Sure.
I'm just saying sometimes that, the government says, just leave it alone. I don't want to mess with it. Or that's my friend Bill and I don't want to have to be the one that terminates him. Or, I don't know if it's a good old boy network or just blatantly corrupt, or that the committee that runs the department, just doesn't want to deal with it because then it brings to light their shortcomings as a group. It's so stupid and self-serving. And then when some people like the little old ladies ask some questions or make us think, they kick you out. You can't play here anymore.
Man, that got me so mad. I'm telling you, I was madder. Man, I'm telling you, when I was told of that specific scenario, and then I went and met one of the little grannies, and she said, hold on. And she got another little granny, and I'm sitting in a sea of grannies. And let me tell you something. You don't want a bunch of pissed grannies after you.
Yeah.
At least not in North Richland Hills. And I felt bad for them. I had such great empathy in their whole life. One lady told me about the baptism, the marriages, burying her husband. And that's taken away from her because a person that is in power there decided,
I got to make some money on this.
I've got to do something different here. Yeah, I got a problem with that.
Well, and the curiosity is, the buying and selling of church assets should belong to the congregation as a whole.
And it does. And here's what's crazy. They say, he can't make any money. I guarantee you, you sell a piece of property and it's coming into your bank account, you can do something with the money. Okay? Me and you both know that. They're not going to give individuals. You're never going to see an individual in the church get paid for being a member. That's not what I'm talking about. That money will go to that church if they sell it. And that money should be scrutinized. Now, I learned on a phone call driving over here that all of a sudden and I posted this in a video where he sets the bait, he sets the trap ahead of the time of what's going to happen.
Of course.
A
'Cause
narcissist.
He's a pro.
Yeah, he's a pro,
yeah.
but narcissist. And he literally says, I have a picture of somebody that was in there on our church computer. Well, let me tell you something. If somebody's on my computer, right, with the code, or if somebody's on my computer, everybody's going to know about it, especially in that situation as the leader of a congregation. He didn't call the police. He didn't file a report. That's bullshit. That's lying in the pulpit. And he kind of set the trap in a video that one of the members posted that's going to hopefully give him an easy out. Well, I've heard today that there's some documents being shuffled and they can't produce any financial records. Uh-oh. Remember, he set the trap for this 2 weeks ago by making that statement to a few amount of members. Now, there wasn't very many people.
What are the relationships between the individuals on the committee or council or board and this pastor?
Well, some of these people were, like I say, longtime congregants.
Right.
But he said, you're no longer a member. That's it. So he's dividing the ones that are going to question him.
Right.
And he's going to keep, he's going to keep the God, let me think of the right word to say this.
Yeah,
He's going to
yeah.
keep the easy targets here.
The co-conspirators.
Yeah.
Knowingly or unknowingly.
Yeah. He's going to take the people that are, they're just going to be comfortable and they're not going to question anything. He's going to keep them here. And if it comes down to a vote, well, he's got his votes because he's got the ones that are, I don't want to say dumbed down, but man, it's dumbed down.
And he's eliminated the competition.
That's right.
Well, I'd be interested in knowing how that continues. I think that, to me, obvious corruption. I think that there should be some kind of action taken so that these proceeds or whatever is going to happen can have some oversight, third party, maybe a
Absolutely.
law firm or somebody, just like, because that congregation is in danger. Regardless of what their point of view is, it seems to me that you need a third party that's got oversight at minimum. And I would be urging all the people that were, quote, booted, file some kind of action against the church and the pastor so that discovery could be made and public records could be achieved,
And me and you both know that discovery can get you.
Well, and it's expensive.
And it's the truth.
So, well,
it's the truth.
And where, aren't like in most they have like a board of, like they got cardinals in the Catholic Church and they got bishops and they got, there's levels. Where's the level here?
So there's two organizations. There's a state and a federal Baptist convention, basically.
Right.
Look, they don't want no problems because it's easy money coming in. There's a problem in North Richland Hills. I think that they're not going to step off in it. I don't think, although, and here's what I've learned. Let's say I'm the Baptist church. I'm going to start one over here, and I pay you whatever my yearly due is. It's just an organization. They have neither one of these two entities can actually do anything.
Right, they have no authority.
Yeah, they can't do anything. But you're affiliated.
Every religion has their corruptors.
Yep.
And their thieves. Jewish population had this Bernie Madoff crook stealing billions of dollars, with his Ponzi scheme. You got the guys flying around in jets and this, I don't know what evangelists or whatever, and I know that.
The wealthiest evangelist lives in Tarrant County. Did you know that?
I think I did know that.
Okay.
But, and the amount of wealth to me.
On the globe.
It's staggering.
It's staggering.
Right? Like, how does I remember when I was a kid, I used to go to a temple, Jewish.
Yeah.
And the rabbi there would make $50,000 a year, whatever the number was. And,
he lived like a normal human being.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like it was a regular job funded by by the congregation.
Mm-hmm.
And, whether he was a good rabbi or not, I was a kid, so I wouldn't know. But the point is, it seemed to be a little bit more in line with.
It meets the expectation of what you think it should be.
Right.
This guy's not a rock star. Kenneth Copeland has his own airport. Army base. 18,000, 20,000 square foot house built on the property. Right. Remember, I used to patrol out there. I know all of this. And what's crazy is when you start looking at amassed assets, he started out as a pilot for Oral Roberts. A lot of people don't know that. He was Oral Roberts' personal pilot. And then he learned from behind the scenes, and he's now the next big thing, right? He is the wealthiest preacher on the globe.
Right. And he'll tell you because of all the books I write and of all of this.
Have you seen those books? They're like in 17 font. They're about 14 pages.
I think one of them was written by my neighbor's kid.
Yeah,
yeah. So what do we do about the selling of religion? I don't know what to make of it, but I will say that our government is now trying to make us a religious nation in a lot of ways. There's no separation of church and state, but what's interesting to me is they'll point to this company and say that CEO is no good. Like, the big guys in Washington, no. We're going to sue them, or we're going to threaten them to put them out of business unless they do things our way. And I'm thinking about all these corrupt church leaders that have tens of millions of dollars. Why did they investigate? I mean, where is the IRS and the Treasury Department?
I think it's funny that you brought that up. And I also think it's interesting when you start thinking about politics and religion. I don't care what religion, or whether it's a city, county, federal, state, whatever. There's one common thing: political action committees. PACs have all the money. So you throw the money over here to the PAC, it's okay for you to receive that money.
Citizens United.
Yeah.
The worst thing ever happened in this country.
Yeah.
And you have a Supreme Court that understands church and state, and they still allow it.
I'll tell you what, you can get a person really wound up quick. I always say there's two things I don't like talking about, because a person will know right where I stand. Yeah, politics and religion. I don't give two shits what you believe, and I don't give two shits what you think I believe. I don't care. I have my own relationship with Jesus Christ,
right,
and I try to do my own deeds every day.
Right.
And I'm not going to a church and throwing money in a bucket because, our other buddy over here said they wanted a credit card. Right. I'm not doing that. What in the hell has happened?
My point exactly, because I don't care if you're Hindu or Muslim or this or that. It doesn't matter to me. We're going to sit down. We're going to talk about stuff. But there's blatant and obvious corruption, and that's what it is. It's corrupt. This is misuse. In every way, it stinks. And by using things like PACs, political PACs,
yep,
and generating a base of power because of your political rhetoric or your religious rhetoric. All I remember is when I was a little kid in school, they said in the United States, there's a separation of church and state, and that you're free to worship how you want. That's what the country was about. That's how it was created. We could worship as we wanted, and we wanted, no taxation without representation, and a separation of church and state. Three really simple fucking things, and we keep corrupting it and commingling it, and giving it power and righteousness, which is beyond all belief. Hey, I'm not a Harvard grad. I'm not a fucking Mensa, but I can tell you something. I've done good things. I've done bad things. I'm like a scale, and sometimes I'm a little up, a little down, a little up, but most people are more like that than, hey, it's got to be my way or the highway. It's got to
find common ground, man.
Yeah.
Got to find, and common sense.
And again, the basic tenets, and correct me if I'm wrong, separation of church and state, no taxation without representation, super PACs like the Electoral College and super PACs, we don't need them. It should be one person, one vote. You get to 21 years old or 18 years old, you vote. That's the way it's supposed to work.
It's the way it should work.
Well, that's the way I was taught. And then you learn about the Electoral College, and then you start allowing PACs so that anybody can write a check for anything. And, Elon Musk is worth $500 billion now, $500 billion. And, he'll be the first trillionaire. That's not even a public company, right? Like Tesla and Space, they're not public because they're only Meta. It's not a public company. If you want to throw money at it.
All by design.
Right.
Yep.
Don't treat it like it's a public company, because if it's a public company, you cannot exert your one-man control, especially with what they call super voting stock and all this bullshit.
Yeah.
Right? That's a tax straddle, tax scam. You want to screw the tax man, that's one thing. But if you have people millions of people around the world are now invested in these companies that are not public.
Right.
And they treat them like they're public. And you know what's interesting about them? Most of those companies don't even pay a fucking dividend. They're buying it because people want it to go from $10 or $1,000 to $10,000 a share. Right. There's no dividend. They're not paying you for the use of your money. They're selling you the fact that, oh, you're going to be a millionaire someday.
And you're going to be a part of this.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I feel better. Let's get in here with some
Yeah,
money.
I got in early, man, and I made a killing.
Now, I'll tell you something funny. Back, just to hop back on that, I knew a guy that, this was 2008 or 9. He started telling me about Bitcoin. I said, man, get out of here. He said, no, he wanted me to loan him some money. And I like doing that because I make money on it. So he said, I just need $1,000. Well, gave him $1,000. He paid back $1,300, borrowed it for a month, okay? That investment, he bought just a shit ton of these Bitcoins. He sold them in 2018. And he said, you're not going to believe how much I made. He said, I never bought any more. I bought just that much. And he had some. Made an incredible amount of money.
Right.
I think it's wonderful. I'm not into Bitcoin. If I don't want to get into something I don't understand.
Common sense.
That's it.
There are a lot of people like that. But the truth is, he wasn't corrupt. He took a shot. He looked at it like it was a piece of art.
Yeah.
And he borrowed some money from you, paid you back with interest. No foul, no harm.
That works.
He got
beautiful.
rich. You didn't. You got your money back.
I actually did pretty good. I mean,
Yeah.
I know I look like a hillbilly. I did pretty good.
Yeah. No, I
But
get
not
it.
on Bitcoin. Not on Bitcoin. I'm working.
On working. Yeah, on your podcasts and your social media. But, and again, to me, I'm not doing this for the money. It would be nice that I could pay myself back for doing it.
Sure.
But other than that, I'm doing it because people need a platform to complain. They need a platform to hear other points of view. They need a platform because if you don't get it out, it hurts you more.
Yeah.
And they need a platform to maybe at some point be able to get some help with a solution, right? So that's where the advocacy comes in. But I will tell you that I have friends that I love them dearly, but they only vote their wallets or pocketbook. You know, I have other friends that are exactly the opposite, and because they think everything in life is a religious calling. So there are all kinds of people out there.
But we got to get some better candidates, man. I think across the board, we got to get better candidates.
Of course, but think about what it takes. I get solicitations all the time from this person, and they sound good. They look good. They're probably better than what we got, but who knows? All the really smart people want to stay away from it. Even Elon Musk, with all of his tens of billions, said, you know, maybe I should stay the fuck out of this.
Yeah, I'm out of here.
Yeah. So it's really hard. But I also think that America's combined ignorance and selfishness is at a new world height, right?
100%.
So you have 100 people, and I see these surveys, 1,000 people, and 60% says this, the other 40 says the opposite, or 51-49. And I'm like, you know what? I look at it this way. Good people can do bad things once in a while.
Sure.
Bad people can do good things once in a while.
Sure.
Like, I hate the president because I think he's a jerk off. But some of the things he's doing or thinking about doing, may as well take a shot at some of it, right? Because we're not getting any better. So maybe you have to shake things up a little bit. Maybe we will get cheaper medicines. Maybe we will. So, I just don't like him because I think he's a shitty thing as a leader. Mm-hmm. I think everything about him is upside down, inside out, and corrupted.
We're never going to find a candidate that
right.
hits there like a woman. You've been married a lot, and we talked about that a while ago. They don't hit all the demographics. I'm a Trump supporter. I'll be the first to tell you.
Well, I got friends again that grew up the same as me that are Trump supporters.
Yeah, I'm a Trump supporter, big time.
Now, again, I have to separate the man from the policies, and maybe I like some of his policies. Maybe
I like his
others.
policies. I like some of his policies. But he does say some stupid shit.
Yeah, and
nobody's perfect.
Right, and that's the argument I hear from a lot of Trump supporters that are really just conservatives.
Yes.
Okay, they're not really MAGA Trump guys. They're just, you know what? I don't like how the other side approaches stuff, and I like what he's saying about this or that. Now, even if he does something right, he may not execute it well. I mean, there are things that scare me to death about this guy because of the way his rhetoric. I think he starts to believe a lot of it himself, and that could lead to some dangerous results. I don't think we should have U.S. military, armed military in Portland, Oregon, or other states. Now, I'm not saying there's not a problem or we can't try.
What's the solution then?
I don't know the solution, but I don't know this, that if the governor says we got to maybe use our state National Guard to help do stuff, that's a little different than send the president dictating to send in the Marines.
But that governor didn't. She hadn't taken any action.
I know that. But I'm not saying that's right or wrong.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that I think, again, I learned back in American history that the U.S. military was never to be used against its citizens on its soil. Now, again, there have been race riots in Los Angeles and Newark, New Jersey, and they sent in the state National Guard to help because the local police forces just didn't have enough clout.
Right.
And I understand that. I don't have an issue with that. I mean, I hate to see the riots and the things behind the riots. And I just think that everything here has become about extremes and that bad behavior is accepted. And that's why when I look at our current president and say, why are you an asshole all the time? Why do you have to deride everybody? Why can't you just, there are smart people out there. They may not see the world the way you see it, but treat people with mutual respect, not just go out and bully them. Now, sometimes when it comes to politics, international politics, maybe you have to be an asshole. Maybe you have to be threatening, like, you know what, fuck you. If you don't consider what we're saying, we're not going to help you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because a lot of places.
So a lot of people got all up in arms about when Zelensky came to the White House, and he acted very entitled. Now, do you have children?
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. If one of my kids come in asking for money, acting like that, I would slap the shit out of them and toss them out. Period. This person, I don't like anyone that feels entitled. Okay. And this is a whole country. This is a leader of a country that came into, well, they say our White House, right?
Right.
And I have just as much right as anybody else to be proud of whoever's in office or not in office. I'll tell you this. I don't care who's in office. I'm going to support them. Might not like them. I'm going to support them. That's it didn't matter if it was Obama or Biden. Hey, that's the president.
Right.
You got to show respect. Well, that's it. That's how it is with me.
By the way, I happen to agree with that, right? Like, I think that at the end of the day, we're all Americans. And even some illegal immigrants are more American than some Americans.
The majority of legal immigrants, I'm gonna say 100%. I know someone that literally just got their citizenship. That person is more American than half the city on the north side. It's amazing.
I could tell you that when I lived in my house, I had a really great Mexican family that had a family business here. And I had asked him, I said, Manuel, are you legal? Or he goes, yeah, I'm a citizen. It took me a while.
What a dick. You asked?
Yeah. And I was friendly with him. I'd give him beer. Talk to him. I asked him, not to threaten him.
I'm just busting your chops.
Even, not that I even cared, to tell you the truth.
Right.
But, he was telling me, like, this guy that helps him, he's not legal. He would tell me.
Yeah.
And when I see a guy who's working his ass off and doing the right thing and, living in a community and adding to that community,
sure,
I got nothing against him.
I do
think they should have taken a legal path and tried a legal way. But a lot of these things for people that are underprivileged, it's not that easy.
Not that easy.
Right. So I cut a little slack here and there just because there's good people and then there's bad people. I don't think everybody from Mexico or Guatemala or wherever is a killer or a rapist. I think they want to escape shitty countries or where they can't survive well and want to help their families. I think that's most of the world.
Yeah, and you said it earlier, 100%. Everybody around the globe wants the same thing. We all want to be able to succeed.
Right.
We want to take care of our families. We want peace. Right. But there are a select group of people okay? And they're just shitty people. And you're not going to be able to change them.
Right.
It is what it is.
And by the way, we have them here too.
That's
we
what,
got our own
no, that's what I'm
ones.
saying.
Yeah, we got our own.
You know, we have, trust me, I just came back from Germany. I've been over there a couple of times. And let me tell you something. The news makes it like if you ride the train, something bad's going to happen to you. I rode all over that fucking country, from Munich down to Essen, all the way back up to Berlin. I had not only I didn't have one problem. People were so nice to me, and the news, and I'm going to say it, they do it all the time. They portray exactly what they want you to think of.
Right.
What they like the division. They like the division.
Well, it's a business.
It's a business.
Right? And you got the right and left, and you got the right business and the left business.
Yeah.
And the truth is, I mean, you're not 20 years old. So, you know, being that you're 50 plus, and I'm just guessing that when I was a kid, first of all, it was started out with black and white TV. Okay? Then we moved into color TV.
Yep.
But the interesting thing was, for most of my childhood, you got, you know, 5 stations or 8 stations, and they'd go off at midnight or whatever. Maybe on Saturday, they'd go off at 1 a.m.
That was it.
And you got news in the morning, but you always had the 6 o'clock news. And the 6 o'clock news, whether it was good, bad, or indifferent, it didn't seem fabricated, and it wasn't constant. The most important thing now is that we are bombarded with rhetoric, most of it hateful, but all day long on both, you know, conservative stations, you know, and liberal stations. And it's very devastating. The effect it's having on America is devastating. I think trying to eliminate one versus the other is equally as bad. I think that everybody should be taught that this rhetoric cannot be taken seriously. Now, there's good and bad in everybody's point of view.
Sure.
Right? And I'm not the judge of that, but I do think that that kind of stuff 24/7 is,
I think it's too much.
yeah, and it's devastating. It's, I would say, even deadly, especially to the younger generations that had nothing to compare it to. Opie or Batman or, you know.
I'll push it a step further. And we've seen it.
Even Gunsmoke.
I do like
Yeah.
Gunsmoke
Yeah.
and the Rifleman. But we've seen a lot of this, especially recently. I think a person can be so radicalized by 24/7 social media, news, all different channels. People, you know, I mean, we saw it with Charlie Kirk. The kid that killed Charlie Kirk, his family said he got so into. I like everybody getting into whatever you like to get into, but if you get into something too much,
Yeah.
you can fuck up your whole life.
Yeah,
And that's a
takes-
great example.
Yeah, it takes control over your
Yes.
ability to think.
It's too much. And a lot of people apparently can't handle that. And it's not good for you. Go on vacation.
Well, you know, I mean, I stopped watching the news 2016. Now, I didn't stop reading the news until maybe 3 or 4 years ago. That's when I stopped reading it.
Yeah.
The thing is, I still get the news. Like, I get news alerts
Yeah.
just so I have the broad headlines. If there's something that I want to research, then I'll go and look around and read different things or talk to people,
Yeah.
you know, so that I could formulate my own opinion. But the worst thing is, to me, all this news and all of this 24/7, 365, it's like eating donuts, you know, like a box of donuts every day. You're going to die from diabetes if you eat a box of donuts every day. And
And you're going to be a miserable fat fuck.
yeah, exactly.
And you're going to draw that to everybody else
Right.
before you die.
And all of a sudden, you'll see that your position and stature in your own world has now shifted, and probably not in a good way.
Right. I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was great you came in, Eric.
I appreciate
You
it.
know, if you're still doing PI work, I could probably use a PI in my life.
You have my number. You can call me anytime. It's on the coin that's in that box.
That coin is going to make me millions.
It will. And listen, I really do like the podcast, because you're right. It gives an opportunity for someone to voice. And look, we're not going to agree on everything. We agreed on a lot today.
No, we don't have to agree on
We
everything.
don't. That's the thing. You don't have to fucking agree on anything,
Right.
but you can do it respectfully.
I'm with you on that.
I'm with you on
And
that
I can
too.
break bread with anyone.
I can too.
Right? But it's a lot harder if I'm pointing a gun at you or you're pointing a gun at me.
Very true.
Right? I mean,
It's very true.
I mean, you're a cop. Even when you arrested people for whatever legit reason, and you had some people that were more violent or more difficult or more problematic,
Sure.
and then you had the other kid that was maybe sitting on the curb listening to your instructions, and you handled them according to how they handled you,
Yes.
right?
Sure.
And I appreciate that, knowing and having been in the system and having. I'll tell you a story. I was arrested for domestic violence against ex-wife number 5.
Damn it.
Now, she broke into my house in the middle of the night. She started to attack me. My face was all scratched up like a lion, right? I got to the phone. I called 911, and they could hear the whole thing. And I held her in a bear hug from behind. Cops came. They cuffed me. They cuffed me.
Damn it.
Okay, so I go to jail. I get a lawyer, paid him a fortune, and I said, listen, this is not what it seems. I have never even hit a woman. I was just protecting myself. You could see that I was attacked, and I held her in a bear hug, and all I want you to do is get that 911 call. Okay, so I get out on bail, and 6 months later, I get a letter and a phone call from my lawyer. It's all okay. I listened with the prosecutor to the 911 call. Everything's dropped and blah, blah, blah. In the meantime, years later, when I wanted to volunteer at my kid's school,
Yeah.
right, now I'm embarrassed. Now it's a problem. I went to get TSA pre or whatever.
Yeah.
And the guy says to me for my interview, have you ever been arrested? And I'm thinking, well, I went to jail for contempt, but that's not really arrested.
Keep thinking, sir.
Right. And
There's
the guy
something
says,
else.
are you sure that's what you want to say? You might want to talk about, you might want to clue me into something else like, you ever hit your ex-wife or, something like that? And he was whispering to me. And I'm like, oh,
I never hit her, but boy,
I'm
she
like-
deserved it.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, that fucking thing. And I had to give him, which I carry in my phone, the picture of the thing that said, no case or
Yep.
whatever,
Yeah.
whatever, however the legal thing was. And it still, to this day, could affect me and haunt me.
When you said that about your face, I get a call. This is out Eagle Mountain Lake. This is 1995, 97. One of my guys answered the call. He called for supervisor. I go over, and the guy's on the front porch, and he's very calm. He's smoking a cigarette. He's up there smoking a cigarette. Her face was all, she was bad. She was bad. And I'm looking at this guy, I'm thinking, I don't know many guys that are going to do this, number one.
Right.
Not saying it can't happen. Everything's weird. We ended up getting a crime scene person out, and boom, boom, boom. And
Under her fingernail.
before we even left, that guy was glad that I had been divorced 3 times at that time.
Yeah.
He was very glad that I had a divorce history. And, people lie. She lied. He did this.
It's pretty obvious that he doesn't have the nail structure to do. Anyway, so here I am, like branded in a way, and I didn't do anything other than to protect myself and my home.
That's fucked up.
It is. And it cost me a fucking fortune.
Did you have it expunged?
No,
Yeah.
it's still there.
I was going to say, it costs a shit ton of money to do anything, even when you're innocent.
Right. It's just like certain things don't, to throw good money after bad.
Yeah.
But I do have the thing in my phone that says there was no case.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I've been in the system. I met some great guys. All the guys liked the shoes I was wearing because the guy, oh man, you be connected. I got that too. I said, yeah, I be connected.
Yeah.
We played chess. at that time I gave him my the cheese in my bologna and cheese sandwich, and he gave me an extra piece of bread. You know, it's swap, but it was fucked up.
It's fucked up.
You know, like, you know, how do these things happen? And now you got 24/7 news telling you this guy's bad, that they're bad, the other guy's bad. You know, and I try to explain it this way. When I was young, 18, 19, driving a car, road rage was this.
Yeah.
You give the guy the bird.
Yeah.
Now they run you off the road, they shoot you. They
Think all the people that've been killed just for. So here's something crazy. In Germany, we had car service. I'm not driving. No honking, no horns. And it's very crowded, okay, until you get on the Autobahn. And there's nobody. America is the only country I have seen. I've traveled a lot. Everybody's fucking amped up like they've been drinking something all day,
Right.
and they're just waiting for something.
Right.
Man, fucking
Yeah.
relax.
Geez, I accidentally cut you off. You don't have to kill me.
Yeah.
It's fucked
I don't
up.
get it, man.
No. As a matter of fact, my ex is Egyptian, right? So we'd go to Egypt and visit with her family and all this stuff. And when they were pissed off at you, they'd stick their foot out the window. Just like you remember those pictures in
Yeah.
Iraq or Iran
yeah.
where
Yeah.
they threw the shoe at Bush.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, that's the disrespect. Yeah,
right.
yeah,
That's disrespect. And so I would laugh at that. I'd give them the bird. They give me a toe.
yeah.
You know, like,
Fucked up.
yeah, it's nuts, man.
That's funny.
Hey,
I enjoyed it. I really appreciate that
you
today.
come back anytime.
I'll do it.
I would love to have you back.
I'll do it.